Hello and welcome to the Comic Book Communicast, the official podcast of the Google Plus comic book community. Every episode, each of us chooses our favorite comic of the week to talk about, and then we'll discuss any significant comic-related news and TV for the week. And just a reminder, you can find all of our episodes at comicbookcommunicast.com, as well as links for the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, and RSS. This is issue number 64. Hopefully our cool little audio intro just came through. Today is June 21st, 2015. I'm Justin Beeson, and I'm joined by co-host Paul Christopher.
Good evening, everybody, and happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to it. Pick of the week, where each of us chooses our favorite comic, and then we'll briefly go over the rest of the books we picked up this week. So, Paul, what was your pick?
My pick this week was the final issue of Alex and Ada. That's number 15 by Jonathan Luna and Sarah Vaughn. And so this is a series I've been following from the beginning. I've mentioned it a couple times. I didn't realize it was going to be limited, but it was good that they did, because it's like really would have been difficult to drag this out much longer. I was already personally starting to get a little bored, not terribly bored, but I think if it had gone much further, I probably would have just dropped the book. So I think they ended it at the right time. I'm glad to see authors doing this where they'll go ahead and take a book to a logical conclusion and let it go, and not try and just keep churning stuff out. So this is a love story between a guy, Alex, and his android that he's given. He's given this android by his grandmother, so he won't be by himself. She's basically trying to match him up. But androids are not allowed to be sentient because one sentient android lost their mind and killed a bunch of people. So now androids are not allowed to be sentient. But some people are going in and turning sentience back on, much like people rooting their phones or jailbreaking their phones. So basically, he goes and he's not comfortable with the idea of this, basically this slave following him around. So he goes and he finds a place where he can get her sentience turned back on. And so then now that she is aware and self-aware, then it's about how their relationship builds against this backdrop of it being illegal. So she's got to hide it. And so finally we get to the conclusion here, and I won't spoil it for anybody, but I felt like it was a good ending. I was very satisfied with this ending. And if you haven't been buying the book before now, I'm sure that they'll wrap it all up either in a few trades or maybe one big trade. If you like a lot of action and adventure, don't even bother. This is very much a character study. It's overall generally pretty light, not a whole lot of depth to it, which is not to say it's superficial either. It touches on a lot of topics about acceptance and identity and whatnot. So again, it was a good book. It was a good book. I would not have followed it much further than it went, but I enjoyed it.
Cool. And so where does this place on just general AI stories for you?
I don't really have any other stories to compare it to. It's there's danger, but it's not I'm the one that you're reading right now. What's that called? With the
Arcadia?
With a little kid robot.
Oh, Descender.
Yeah. That's definitely got a lot more going on than this one does. This is very
narrow topic.
Yeah, but it's just not it's got things that it's talking about, but it's not going deep into it. So mostly it's just a character study of Alex and Ada and their relationship, and then the acceptance. It's very much kind of like a what am I trying to say? Like an allegory for maybe gay couples or whatnot. About general societal acceptance of these people that are different, and then being in a relationship with them and whatnot, and what does that mean? So again, not really heavy like Descender. Probably is I haven't read it yet, but from what I've read about it and from what you've talked about it, this is not nearly to that depth, but still a good overall story. I give it like a solid C plus B.
Okay. Cool. So that was Alex and Ada, and that's by Jonathan Luna and
Sarah Vaughn.
Okay. It's like there's two Luna, like there's two of them writing.
Yes,
right?
yes. He's got his brother. I'm not sure. I can't remember his name. I met one of them at Baltimore Comic Con a couple years ago. I think
cool.
it was Jonathan.
Cool. All right. So that was Alex and Ada, number 15 from Image Comics. So my pick of the week. This week, honestly, like there weren't any books that really blew me away. But the top of the pile would be Thors #1. So this is a Secret Wars tie-in, which is seriously crazy, and the main series has been a lot of fun. But you know, if you don't know yet, basically, Doctor Doom created this new world out of the remnants of all the Marvel universes, and each like area country is its own little like piece of Marvel past. But Doctor Doom rules it as God. And his cops or sheriffs are a bunch of Thors. So you have, regular Thor. You have the Destroyer, who's a Thor. You have Beta Ray Bill, who's a Thor. You have the Frog Thor. Just tons of them, and they're the police force. So they've kind of made appearances in some of the other books, investigating stuff. But this book is by Jason Aaron and Chris Sprouse, and it centers around the Thor force. And there's a series of murders going around. So, you know, they're investigating them all, and they they call it this is an all thing or something like that, where basically, you know, it's the case that has to be solved quick, otherwise Dr. Doom's gonna come down on them. And as it goes through and they're investigating this, you find out that and it's a series of murders through in each one in a separate country or whatever. And so you find out as the team of Beta Ray Bill and young Thor, I think, you find out that it's Jane Foster. So somebody's going to each of the battle worlds and killing Jane Foster in each world. And that's like the final page reveal. But it's a fun, like it's a procedural, but with Thors. And, you know, they go through, like, they fight a bunch of ghost riders. Storm is a Thor. Forgot about that. And it's a fun little police procedural, but with Norse mythology and all the stuff thrown in. And looks like it's going to be a cool book. This, I'd say it's a little slow to start. But yeah, so I'd recommend it. Oh, and I forgot. They find out one of the guys chases down a lead, like one of his informants, and it's like homeless Loki. It's Loki is like a homeless guy living in a cardboard box who looks like he's going to be manipulating stuff and probably has something to do with the killings. So it seems like a cool little playground for Jason Aaron to play in with the Thors. And yeah, if you're not Secret Wars is kind of crazy, this is definitely a tie-in I would pick up. Paul, did you ever finish reading the Thor God of Thunder series?
Nope. I've got to do that, and I've got to do Hawkeye, especially now that the last issue is finally coming out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And let's say that if you were reading some of the books that I have recommended over and over again, you would not be so bored this week because, I've got 2 books that were just freaking amazing. We'll get into that when we do the rest of our pull box. But yeah.
Well, I literally have Lazarus sitting on my tablet, like the whole thing. But yeah, but like I've been so behind, and I've been trying to cut stuff off too, but I'm still falling behind.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that was Thor's #1. Just Secret Wars tie-in, the continuing of Jason Aaron's Thor story. Definitely check it out if you're interested in either one of those. So, Paul, what other books did you get this week?
All right, so I got Lazarus #17, which was freaking incredible, And the cover for this book was amazing, as they all are. Every cover is a masterpiece. I got Revival number 30, which was actually kind of slow, but I mean, this is it. It's like it's a lot like Walking Dead. So you're gonna have slow books because they need to get into the characters, and they need to explore the characters a bit more and push the story aside. So not every single issue is going to be major action and whatnot. So I forgive them for the occasional slow issue because overall the book is very good. And last but not least, I got Trees number 10, which was also a slow issue, but it's because it's basically a link to, I think, the next next storyline or the next arc, because it's like the end of this one set up for some major confrontation with the police. Again, it's weird. Like the Trees is all about like these. It's not you go into it thinking it's going to be about these alien spaceships that landed on Earth, and it's really not. The story of this book is about the effects on the human population that the arrival of these things has had. It's not about the trees themselves at all. It's about the effect that it has on human civilization and how humans in different parts of the world respond and react to the trees. So, and that was it. Pretty much
I'm good.
All image this week.
Yeah. For Trees, I'm like, I read the first couple and they were cool, but it was just real slow. So I'll probably wait until Comixology does one of their, image sales, and I'll pick the rest of it up and jump back on.
That. Trees is definitely something you can wait on. It's not one of these like, wow, this is going to change comics forever and everybody's going to be talking about this and you're going to be left out of the conversation if you're not reading this. It's definitely not. It's not like Saga.
Yeah. Cool. So my books, Astro City number 24. I basically jump in and out of this series depending on the storyline, and this is the conclusion to one where it's like a gorilla that is like it's basically a replacement for like a Gorilla Grodd type, but he's a good guy and he just wants to play drums, but he ends up getting like drafted into a superhero team. And it's pretty fun. 8 number 5. This is that time travel story from Raphael Albuquerque. Haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to that. The fiction number 1 from Boom Studios. It's basically like this wasn't even on my radar, but then like Multiversity Comics and Comixology's podcast talked about it. It's basically like if It and the Clown were a book that transported you into like another world. And so basically these, a group of kids discovered this book. One of them disappeared and then they all forgot about it. And now they're all adults, and then the book reappears and takes one of them again. So the other ones go to investigate it. A lot of people, like the things I read, said it was awesome. I thought it was all right. But yeah, it just reminded me of it.
Yeah, Hex, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Hex number 11. This is just a crazy story, about, I think I've talked about it before. It's from Boom Studios. It's kind of hard to explain. It has to do with people that like steal and trade in magical artifacts. And right now they're basically fighting with gods. It's one of those books that you have to read from the beginning. And if I were to explain the issue, it's way too confusing, but it's really good and definitely recommended picking up from the beginning. Old Man Logan number 2, another Secret Wars tie-in that continues Brian Bendis' take on Mark Millar and Steve McNiven's, classic Wolverine story. Southern Bastards number 9. This book is it's unlike anything else in comics right now, and it's a lot of fun. And they're starting an arc where they're getting into the homecoming game, so that should be fun. Thors number 1, which I talked about. I forgot to mention with that is the art by Chris Sprouse is actually really good. I like it. Not as much as when Esad Ribic was doing it, but I like it better than Russell Dodderman, who was doing the female Thor arc. Really good. And then last one, Ninja Turtles Casey and April number 1. This is a new miniseries that spins off of the main Turtle series, so I'll be checking that out. So those were my books. everybody can join into the weekly post in the community with hashtag CBC Pollbox, where we talk about the books that we picked up this week and what we liked and what we recommended. So definitely check that out in the comic book community. So now it's time for Issue of the Week, where we choose a news story, TV episode, comic issue, or anything else that stood out to us this week. We have quite a bit of news. There's a lot that happened. I think last week, we were off, but it's fine because there wasn't that much. But this week they came back with a vengeance. Yeah. So, Paul, what was your issue of the week?
All right, so my issue of the week is the announcement of Shane from The Walking Dead as Punisher, Frank Castle, in season 2 of Daredevil, which I think is just amazing. First of all, I've been wanting Punisher to come to Netflix since they announced the Netflix shows were going to be deeper, darker, and that just worked that just seemed like the perfect fit for the Punisher. So hopefully they'll spin him off into his new unannounced show. And that there's something else. But yeah, so we're getting Punisher for Daredevil season 2. They showed us the logo. It's just the logo with bullet holes in it, and I'm really excited to see how they do this. And having him as as Frank Castle, I think is fantastic casting. I think he's going to make a great Frank Castle, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked that they're going to be doing Punisher. I'm not real familiar with the character of Shane. Sadly, I did not jump into Walking Dead until a couple years ago, and I just jumped on with the 4th season. So I'm not real familiar, but everybody else seems to be excited about it, and I am. And I'm
good. John Bernthal, that's his name, John Bernthal, and he's just got a very strong. He's a very intense actor. So even if you don't know anything about Shane, just the fact that he was very driven, very kind of dark, very focused. And so he clearly can pull that kind of character off. I think he's going to do great for as Frank Castle.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see where they take the story because we're getting Punisher. I'm guessing they're going to keep Kingpin in it, and that I'm not real familiar with Punisher, but does Kingpin have to do with Punisher's family dying?
As far as I'm aware, no.
I could see them tying that in.
Yeah, it wasn't his. But then again, technically, Kingpin, the whole idea is he is the ultimate. He's at the top of the pyramid of criminals in New York. So even if it was technically a different mob family, but what it was is they didn't target his family. His family stumbled into a mob hit, so they killed them because they were witnesses.
Okay, yeah, but I could see them tying that into Kingpin. They cast. I don't know if it was official, but it looks like they're going to get Elektra.
Yeah.
They have. What was the secretary's name? What can I think
of? Yeah, I don't remember either.
Anyways, they have her kind of downfall, which is a big part in the comics. So they have that on deck too that they could explore. And then they have all the stuff with the hand and stick, which I think they're going to keep that for the overall story, for the Defenders, because he ties in with stuff with Iron Fist. So that we might not get that in season 2, but yeah, they're going to have a lot to juggle with season 2, and I'm really looking forward to how they handle it.
Karen Page.
Oh yeah, Karen Page. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, I agree. I think the whole thing with the stick. I'm sure we'll get a little bit more of stuff with the hand. Sorry, not the stick. With the hand. But yeah, I think that the big thing is they're saving that for the Defenders.
Yeah. All right. So my pick or issue of the week is a rumor, which it's pretty well telegraphed. Comixology put up a countdown with an anime or a video or something, and it's pretty sure that Dark Horse Comics is going to come to Comixology. I think we find out tomorrow if that's actually the case. But this is awesome if that's true, because there's been a lot of Dark Horse series that I want to read, some that I have, but their app is just terrible. It's clunky. It's a pain in the ass to look through. It's just not good. And so, I was reading mind management on there for a while, but I just like, it's not worth it. I'll either wait and pick it up, the actual trades, or just wait until it comes to Comixology. So there's that. And sometimes I pick up the actual like floppy comics. So I was reading Baltimore like that, and then Hellboy and the BPRD. But if they're coming to Comixology, that'll definitely be a publisher that I'll be picking up a lot of their stuff. And their anthology series, Dark Horse Presents, is some of the best stuff in comics for like small stories. So yeah, I'll be diving in if this is the case. I just hope that they transfer over previous purchases, if somehow that can work out, because I have quite a few books on there as it is before I stopped. How about you, Paul? Are you any series that you're looking to pick up?
I'm probably see. This is what it is because their app is so horrible. Like, I was reading their last Star Wars series that was based on the original screenplay, and I even stopped that like halfway through because I just couldn't deal with their app anymore. So I don't even bother. Like, if it says like Dark Horse, I just stop. So I don't even really know what they've got out and what they've got available, because if it wasn't on Comixology, then I wasn't going to bother with it. So now I'll go and take a look. Baltimore, because Aaron used to talk about that, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it's a fun vampire story.
Yeah, so I'll check that one out. But that's about it so far. Now once it comes over, then I'll see what else they've got going on.
Yeah, so really hope that's the case. It looks like it in their animation. They used forgot what it was, but it was definitely looked like Mike Mignola art, and so that's more than and Bleeding Cool reported on it. They've been pretty good about that stuff, so definitely looking forward to that. So the next we got, like I said, we got a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I have something on here, but I thought we covered that last time. Did we cover Wicked and the Divine becoming a TV show?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know how that appeared on there. So the next thing is Southern Bastards being developed at FX.
Yep.
So talked about it. This came out this week. FX is perfect.
Yes.
It's a gritty Southern story about football, but I mean, that's really kind of just a framing device. I'm kind of curious how they're going to do it, because so far each arc has focused on a different character.
Well, maybe what they'll do is maybe their FX is looking to replace Justified, because they need a new Southern country thing. But two, with the anthology thing, then they can go with not really compete with but like match True Detective over at HBO, which is doing really well for them. So then they've got their own like anthology series, because there's True Detective, and before that there was American Horror Story. So there's clearly an appetite for anthology series, and it makes sense to the networks, because then they can pull in like really big name talent, because it's like, look, I only need a 10 episode commitment from you, and so they can like craft these really, really well told, well written, well acted, well directed stories, because they can pull in like the bigger names because it's such a small commitment.
Yeah, and I think, this story and the storytelling this might have been inspired by it, but kind of Game of Thrones really changed TV and what we can expect from a TV narrative. And I don't want to spoil too much, but the first arc of Southern Bastards, you think you're going one way, and then it pivots hard at the end of the first arc. So I could see them just having that be the first season. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And it looks like Jason Aaron and Jason Latour are the two creators, and they're going to be executive producers or something. They're not going to be writing, but they're going to be part of the creation process. So that's always a good sign from our perspective as comic fans, that they're going to be involved.
I think we can thank Robert Kirkman on The Walking Dead for that. he showed that having the creator in a strong position makes sense. So
yeah, cool. So our next item is there's a rumor that Wolverine 3, the Hugh Jackman's last outing as Wolverine, is going to be based on Old Man Logan. So I think I talked about this when I talked about Old Man Logan #1, but it basically follows Wolverine, years and years and years after all the X-Men are gone. Basically, all the villains have taken over. It's a Western wasteland, and he goes on a mission with Hawkeye to deliver something to pay his rent. So it's kind of like, crap. What's that Clint Eastwood movie?
Oh, Unforgiven.
Yeah, it's basically Unforgiven with Wolverine.
Yeah.
And if this is the case, I think it'd be an awesome kind of send off for Hugh. I'm having brain farts. Hugh Jackman, and I mean it's a really good story, and it's kind of like it's one of the iconic Wolverine stories. Are you familiar with Old Man Logan? And
I am. I've read the very well detailed Wikipedia article about it, and it's what they're going to do with the Hulk and She-Hulk, I don't know.
Well, that, and I mean, his companion is Hawkeye.
Yes.
So yeah, because they're going
to have to.
I don't know if I want to. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a reason why there's not very many X-Men in this story.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. There's plenty of people they could use, and they'll just keep the dynamics. But a lot of it was seeing, that he's interact with remnants of the old Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of a bummer. But if they follow the general story, I think it could be really good.
Yeah. And then the last 45 minutes or so will have to be just ridiculous action like they did with the last movie, the Wolverine. The first 3/4 of it is this really cool kind of character study, kind of a slow burn thriller, and then at the end of it they're just okay, now we have to do this to pay for it's somebody some comedian made a joke about it or something. It says basically in order for the director to get them to let him make the movie he wanted to up to that point, that he had to cram all this other stuff at the end. I was all right, but then you have to do this enormous, fight scene with this giant robot and all this other ridiculous nonsense. But other than that, you can make the movie that you want to make.
Yeah. Yeah, so that should be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next big news, this was just announced, I think, I don't know, just recently, is that Kelly Sue DeConnick is going to leave Captain Marvel after Secret Wars. This is huge because back when, Marvel initially did their Marvel Now, they changed Ms. Marvel to Captain Marvel, gave her a new costume, put Kelly Sue DeConnick, a relatively unknown female writer at the time. And since then, this comic has really, what do I want to say, not inspired, but started the attention being paid to female readers by the big two. It's really become, they have the Carol Corps, which is a huge fan base online that has, been a real vocal presence in the comic book community over the last few years. So, and, Kelly Sue is, if not directly responsible, a major factor in that. So for her to be leaving is pretty monumental.
Yep. But I'm hoping this means she'll finally get back to Pretty Deadly, because I'm waiting for more of that.
Yeah, and I mean, it also looks like, Kelly Sue's doing the same thing. Her Comic Bitch Planet is really catching on with everybody. Yep. It's kind of like my girlfriend Angie, she sent me an article. Oh, did you see this? Because some regular culture site did an article on the non-compliant tattoos that people are getting that tied into the comic book. So it's really
entering in. Did it know about the comic book, or was it weird tattoos?
No, it was about the tattoos and the tie into the comic book and kind of the whole movement behind it.
Yeah.
So it's really catching on. So she's moving on, and she's made her imprint on the Marvel universe. It's kind of a bummer seeing as how we're getting a Captain Marvel movie in the next few years. So it would have been cool that if Kelly Sue was involved in that. Maybe she still will be. They're going to base it on a lot of her run. But I'll be interested to see where Marvel takes it now and what Kelly Sue does after this.
Because like the second Cap movie, The Winter Soldier, Ed Brubaker wasn't doing Cap comics anymore. Hadn't been for a while, right. But they still chose like his storyline, and he was actually had a cameo in the movie. So just because she's gone from the comic doesn't mean that she won't be involved with the in some way somehow with the movie. If they're smart, they will absolutely take a storyline from her tenure.
Yeah, definitely. Next item on our long list. So it came out that I kind of glanced at the article, like I read it, but I don't remember what it was. But it comes out basically, so Marvel has been saying for a couple of years now that they haven't done another Hulk movie because Universal, who put out the first two, still holds the rights to it. Well, it turns out that they actually don't. They just have like final approval or something like that. But Marvel could basically put out a Hulk movie.
No, what it is, Universal has right of first refusal for distribution. So
okay.
If you can go back, like the original Marvel Cinematic Universe movies up to I think Iron Man 3 were all, except for the Incredible Hulk, were all distributed by Paramount. They're all made by Marvel Pictures, then distributed by Paramount, except for the Incredible Hulk. And then Disney bought Marvel, and so now they're all distributed by Disney. But so what it is so if Marvel makes another Incredible Hulk movie, they have to offer Universal the opportunity to distribute it, which means that they're going to be sharing some of the income from it. And they're not exactly thrilled with the idea of having to split the profits for this even a little bit. But Universal can just say, nah, we're good. We don't really want to go ahead and put this out. And then it goes back to Marvel, and that's the end of it. So they still can put a movie out, like you're saying. They absolutely can make another Hulk movie. It's just that they have to give Universal the opportunity to say, yes, we want to distribute this movie, which if they're smart, they would probably do. So what they would have to do is throw a ton of cash at Universal ahead of time and be like, how about we just say no? How about you just say no? How about you just let us go ahead and do this? But then, like the articles have said, like the Hulk movies have not performed to the same level as all the rest of the MCU.
Right.
There's not really a profit motive for them to go ahead and try and do another Incredible Hulk movie because it's already shown that the audience isn't really there for an Incredible Hulk movie. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have said that like the Hulk works better as a member of a team than on his own because there's only so much you can do with the Hulk movie. And especially is he on the run for his own movies again? Like, is he running from this general that we haven't seen since like the first movie?
He's supposed to be in Civil War, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, so that's why. Yeah, but like, is he? So is it like it's like he's on the Avengers, and then after the Avengers, when the Avengers go their own way, then all of a sudden the general's chasing him again. He's running off from the general. It's like I think they would have a hard time with doing an individual movie with him now, but I would still go see it. Don't get me wrong, and of course now they've got their slate pretty full. So 2019, sometime after 2019 is the first time that we'd get an opportunity to see a Hulk movie if they decided to do it.
Well, all the rumors and even like people that saw early drafts of the Age of Ultron script. Everything was pointing to Hulk being shot into space, and then we'd get a Planet Hulk movie, which would be pretty awesome. I mean, even in the finished movie, Hulk, as he's going off in his ship somewhere else, like he looks up like if the audio was changed there and, they showed stars instead of just a regular sky, Hulk's looking up into space. Like they completely could have set it up right there.
Yep.
And I believe I heard, I don't remember if I heard it, if I just read it, but Joss Whedon talking about how he wanted stars there, but Marvel said no.
Yep.
And other rumors that said they were going to do Planet Hulk, but they decided not to or something, which is a bummer. But I mean, they can do that at any time. They can make Hulk need to be off Earth for some reason at any point in the movies and do a Planet Hulk movie. So still not out of the question.
You have to do it in the Avengers. Like they could send him off to the Planet Hulk thing in the middle of Captain America if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
And since the Marvel universe is combined, he could end up, leaving at the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah,
that could be the opener as Hulk getting blasted off into space. So
very true. So the next one is that this just came out recently, and that's Marvel. It looks like after Secret Wars, Marvel's main Spider-Man is going to be Miles Morales, and they just announced that that's going to be done, of course, by Brian Michael Bendis and Sarah Pichelli. So that's kind of crazy that if they're going to make this the main Spider-Man.
Yeah. So we know for sure that his title is going to be Spider-Man. So, I mean, there's generally like 15 Spider-Man titles at any given time. So, but we know the Spider-Man title is going to be his. And this is something that, I've been asking for on the Communicast forever now, is for them to let the old guard die off or retire off and pass the torch. Because, I mean, you can only tell so many Peter Parker stories before you start telling them over again. I mean, that's how we ended up with the last day or something like that, where they basically made the deal with the devil and it wiped out his marriage because, they just feel like, oh, well, we've done this whole marriage thing for, a couple of years now. We want him single again. So, poof, you get this nonsense because somebody wants to do a story about a single Spider-Man.
Oh, brand new day.
Brand new day. So it's that's ridiculous. So rather than do that, let him retire as Spider-Man and stay at home with his family and let somebody else, in this case, Miles Morales, take over the mantle and be the next Spider-Man. So you have a whole new character. You can tell whole new stories. You can still tell Peter Parker stories about him being at home and you can still have him, putting on the suit now and again or using his powers now and again because, some danger more related to home, or every once in a while he's got to go help out Miles because there's some huge thing or whatever. But overall, it's, Miles' story. Yeah. And so, you open up this new vein of storytelling that, makes things, exciting again.
Yeah. And I mean, they very, very well could do the thing where Peter Parker retires because, they, as one of the Secret Wars tie-ins is Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. Yeah. And that's where Peter's married to Mary Jane and they have their family. And I haven't looked into the details, but it looks like they're doing that. So that could very well make its way into the main universe.
Yeah, they have to keep it that way. It can't be like James Gordon is Batman or even Dick Grayson is Batman. We're like, okay, we're going to do this for a year and then we're going to go back. No, keep it that way.
I have a feeling Peter Parker will always make it back to Spider-Man at some point.
Right, and I'm saying no, don't do that. Let him go.
Yeah, we'll see. The other thing,
because what does that say about poor Miles? It's it's always going to come back to Peter Parker. It's always going to come back to Peter Parker. So no matter who you are, whether you're Spider-Gwen or you're Silk or you're Miles Morales, no matter how much we love Miles Morales, in the end, you're always not going to be as important as you're not going to be as important as Peter Parker just because he was there first. And it's or iconic. You have to be willing to just let Peter go and be like, no, this is the new Spider-Man, and eventually somebody will come after him.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they, I mean, like I said, I don't think they're going to do that permanently, but it'd be cool if they stuck it for a while. Kind of a Barry Allen type situation where he's gone.
See, like, that's perfect. Like, you know, with the Flash, even when they brought Barry Allen back, like, the other Flashes were still there. You know, and Barry Allen was gone for a good long time. I can't remember, was it West?
Wally West.
Wally West, yeah. Wally West was the Flash for a long time. And even when they brought Barry back, Wally West is like, he and Barry were basically like Flash together, if I recall correctly. I'm not a Flash fan, but my understanding is, like, you know, they're both around and they're both very much iconic. Or even with like the Green Lanterns, you know, at least now you got, you know, you still got Hal Jordan kicking around. But for some people, the black guy,
John Stewart.
John Stewart, yeah. For some people, like, John Stewart is their Green Lantern. You know, and they've managed to, you know, even though they didn't do a torch passing, they've still, like, given them room to all be iconic. You know, for some people, Kyle Rayner is their Green Lantern. And that's what they follow around. Yeah, see, exactly. So I don't know. It doesn't keep defaulting back to Hal Jordan. Yeah. Is what I'm saying. And that's what they need to do with everybody. Like, you know, I'm a huge Batman fan. I love Bruce Wayne. But yeah, you know, Bruce has been Batman for 75 years now. You know, you've told all of the Bruce Wayne stories that there are to tell. Mm-hmm. So move on. You know, as long as you keep Bruce Wayne as Batman, all you're going to start doing is retreading the same territory that other writers have tread. You know, as soon as you let Dick Grayson become Batman, whole new storylines, whole new territory to cover. And even if you're still talking about Bruce Wayne, if he doesn't die, if he like retires, he moves into a different position. Now you've got new Bruce Wayne stories to tell. Because, you know, as long as you're just telling Bruce Wayne his Batman stories, they're all done. 75 years, it's all been covered. That's my rant, sorry.
It's all good. One more interesting thing about this is that, you know, since Brian Michael Bendis is going to be writing Miles Morales, obviously, Dan Slott will not be writing the main Spider-Man for the first time in a long time. He started on Spider-Man, right? And One More Day was the storyline, and Dan Slott started on Spider-Man right after that, and has been on Spider-Man ever since. So he's been writing Peter Parker, you know, for a very long time. That came out in like 2008. So I'll be interested to see what he does next. So that's it for our issues. Paul had one more story that came in right under the gun. I didn't get a chance to look at it, but what was it?
It's a rumor that, because I didn't get to read the whole thing either because it came in like so right before the show, but there's talk about like maybe possibly a Hawk Girl show coming to the CW, because apparently she was introduced in the season finale of The Flash. So whether she's just going to be like a recurring character on the other CW shows, or if she's going to get her own show. But yeah, CW, and to a lesser extent CBS with Supergirl, is turning into the home on television of the DC universe, which is fine by me, especially, you know, because then, like, if they keep it all interacted, if they keep them all in the same universe and whatnot, and keep with this team who seems to be doing very, very well at the head of this. Again, I don't watch the shows, but I mean, the Arrow keeps getting rave reviews. Flash keeps getting rave reviews. So clearly they're doing something right. So, yeah.
Cool. All right, so that's it for issues. We haven't done one of these in a while, but since it's Father's Day, we have a CBC Just for Fun topic from Joseph Sokolowski. And today was, what is your favorite father or father figure in comics? So, Paul, did you have a good one for that?
Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne all day. Bruce Wayne all freaking day. I mean, look at it. It's produced, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. All the Robins. Keeps turning them out. He only killed one of them. So overall, he's well, two actually now. But they both came back to life, so they don't really.
Everything's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So mine, tying into Kyle Rayner being my Green Lantern, my father figure is Ganthet, the Guardian that's kind of was the last remaining one that gave Kyle Rayner his ring, and kind of during his run was like his mentor and gave him advice and kind of helped him become, the best Green Lantern in my opinion. And then Ganthet continued to be like the main Guardian throughout the rest of the run until recently when all of them became assholes and killed each other or something. I don't know what's going on with Green Lantern now, but mine is Ganthet. So that's the.
So I'm like, wait a minute, how does that work?
Sorry, what'd you say?
How Rayner work? First one, I thought you said Gambit. I'm like,
oh yeah, no, Ganthet.
Yeah.
So that was today's CBC Just for Fun topic. You can find those in the comic book community pretty much every day in the CBC features category. Just search CBC Just for Fun. There's always a good discussion going on with those. And finally, we are more than our weekly comics, so we like to talk about the other things that we've been consuming over the last week. So what's something that you've been taking in over the last week or two?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time for, as I've said repeatedly. Let's see.
Did you make it out to see Jurassic World?
Not yet, because it's one of the few movies that the wife wants to see. So then we have to work out like a babysitter and all. So that's going to take a little bit more time.
If you can see it in IMAX 3D, do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And that's the other thing too. I'm going to have to convince her to do that, or I might have to go twice because she's not a big fan of the 3D stuff. So,
so
yeah,
good.
I know. And but I started 2 new sci-fi series are out. Dark Matter, which has been out for a little, like 3 weeks now. I haven't gotten around to watching that, but I'm going to tonight actually. And then Killjoys, which I watched the first episode on my DVR earlier this afternoon. And Killjoys, it looks good. It's a Sci-Fi Channel budget, but overall they're doing well with it. Yeah, I'm gonna get. It's about like these bounty hunters in space. It's a lot of people have been comparing it rightfully to Firefly. Yeah.
I just saw a poster for that like last night or today. I was like, oh, originally I clicked on it like hoping for a version of the comic book, but then I read the description and it sounds pretty awesome anyways. And I'm always down for a sci-fi series because they're usually pretty good and they don't catch on a lot of times, but they've been, pretty great.
Yeah, sci-fi is definitely turning itself around. So, and I'm glad to see that.
Yeah. So for me, I did see Jurassic World, but I wanted to talk about Inside Out, which is Pixar's new movie. And it follows this little girl and the emotions personified in her head. And so you have this whole basically depictions of how a human's emotions work, how they interact with each other, how they affect, you as a person and your experiences. And it's real fun. And it follows this little girl as she moves out to California from Minnesota with her family and kind of, her experience going through that and how their emotions affect it. And it's a really interesting, hard to watch at times. Like it gets pretty rough and emotional, obviously, but it is an amazing movie. And I mean, it's Pixar's, this is a true Pixar movie, one of the ones that they're known for. And, it's been a while, probably since Up, that they haven't had like one of these really good movies. And this is that movie. So as the emotions, you have Lewis Black as anger, Mindy Kaling as disgust, Amy Poehler as joy, Bill Hader as fear, and then I can't remember her name, but the lady who plays Phyllis on The Office, she's sadness. And they're just perfect. everything about this movie is great. So I definitely recommend, even if, I went with a couple friends, we didn't have any kids with us or anything, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I was going to say, and it seemed like an important movie, I think, for kids to watch too, because it's really neat how they show how, all of your feelings are valid, even if you're feeling sad or fearful and stuff. And it kind of shows how they interact with each other and that they're all a vital part of who you are and your experience. And I think it's a good film for kids to watch and to, glom onto that.
Yeah, I've liked what I've seen from the trailers. And like you said, it seems like a return to form for Pixar after some lackluster sequels. And there's a show that was the same premise called Herman's Head back in like the late 90s, I believe, that I used to love. And it was exactly the same thing where, like you would have the different actors playing the different emotions in his head, and it was hilarious. So, yeah, I want to see this movie.
Yeah, really great. I saw it in 3D. Should definitely see it in 3D, especially with these CG stuff.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. So that, I think, does it for us, unless you have anything else, Paul?
Nope, that's it.
All right. So you can find all of our links to our episodes on comicbookcommunicast.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/comicbookcommunicast. Our audio version is on iTunes and RSS, so you can subscribe and rate us there as well. If you want to watch live, we record almost every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So join us in that space every week. Thank you, and have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody, and happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.